When a lioness approached him from behind, George was surprised. He was in the savannah taking photographs for his documentary. He noticed that the lioness was not aggressive towards him and that she appeared to be in need of help. He made the decision to follow her. Then he noticed it. When George saw the lion in the distance, he couldn't believe his eyes. It appeared to be strange. Its stomach was fully bloated. George immediately dialed the number of the local veterinarian, who had no idea what she had seen. This was the first time she had ever seen anything like this before. She promptly contacted the cops after performing an ultrasound. The animal kingdom is vast and contains an overwhelming amount of diversity. No two animals are quite the same in terms of size, shape, color, behavior, and ecology. This diversity is what makes the animal kingdom so fascinating to study. Some of the more unique animals in the animal kingdom include the platypus, the kangaroo, and the koala. Australian animals differ from animals found elsewhere in the world in several ways. Australian animals are less cold-blooded and have longer gestation periods than animals found in colder climates. When the vet called the cops, she was promised that they would be on their way right away. This lion required more than just a veterinarian's assistance. The lion required surgery because something unusual was going on in its stomach. It could even be a matter of life and death. When the cops arrived, they assisted the vet in sedating the nearly lifeless huge lion. The cops, however, did not only assist the vet, they also came to the ranger's aid. "Sir, we require your presence. It is critical." George was taken aback. What went wrong with him? George was asked a series of questions about himself as well as the lion. As a ranger, he has been keeping the animal safe for many years. He heard disbelief from the operation room when he finished answering all the questions. The vet said, "I can't believe this." But what did the vet discover inside the lion that astounded her so much? As a ranger, George has been studying the lions in the area for about a year. He is in charge of keeping the animals away from danger. Poachers and other nefarious characters have been detected in the refuge recently, making things difficult. Keeping all the animals safe has been long and tough for George and the other rangers. Due to a shortage of manpower and the savannah's persistent hazard, for everyone involved, the combination has been extremely difficult. Their boss continues to increase the pressure on the rangers, but they are unable to handle the situation. Many outsiders have noticed this as well and have taken advantage of it. Everything becomes even more risky as a result. When George was on his regular tour one day, he noticed something was massive off to the distance. He assumed he was just overworked and seeing things at first, but as he got closer, his jaw gaped open. How is it possible? George was so shocked by what he saw that he took a step back. At first, he was hesitant to approach the lion because he was unsure of its reaction. George felt compelled to assist the animal immediately. Something was clearly amiss. It was the biggest lion George had ever seen, and he recognized it. It was the local lion pack's alpha male. The lion, on the other hand, did not appear to be his usual pompous self, as his belly was entirely bloated. It seemed that George would be required to help. George began approaching the lion, a little frightened at first, but his love for animals was stronger. He needed to figure out what was going on. He couldn't just let the lion go. He decided to enlist the help of other rangers. There was no doubt in George's mind when he spoke with his superior that something needed to be done right away. They needed to protect the animal from whatever was causing the swelling in its tummy. George had no choice except to act quickly. With more rangers on the way, George had begun to approach the lion gently. He had no idea how the lion would react to George because lions are proud animals. Then it turned to George, and for a brief moment, George's heart fell. Was he going to be attacked by the lion? The other rangers yelled, "Get back!" They cautioned George that the lion might respond violently in this situation because he is attempting to defend himself. As a result, the rangers devised a new approach. The rangers decided they needed to make a phone call and tried to contact the nearest animal veterinarian. The ranger who had phoned the vet reacted surprisedly when the call ended. According to the vet, the rangers must move out of the lion's near vicinity or he will attack them. Before threatening the lion, he asked the rangers to perform one thing. It should be sedated so they may examine it more closely. George and the rangers ensured the area was safe for the vet to approach. George decided to sedate the lion on his own. He'd discovered it, therefore he'd make sure things went smoothly as possible. The rangers were lucky in that the lion was soon sedated and did not appear to resist them. Because the lion showed no signs of resistance or a desire to harm the rangers, it's possible that it truly wanted to be helped. The rangers could now see exactly where the lion's bulge was placed on the body. George contacted the vet, who was still not present, to inform her of their discovery. The rangers are curious about what they'll have to do next, but when the vet hears where the bulge is, their tone changes. The bulge was placed in a very specific location on the lion's body, towards the beginning of the stomach, indicating that it was unable to enter the lion's body. What, on the other hand, could be within this lion? The lion had clearly swallowed something it shouldn't have, which would require emergency surgery to survive. There was no room for error. The rangers, on the other hand, were stumped, so they went to the vet and asked her what they should do. Is she here in the nick of time? Should the lion be brought to her? They were hoping it was the first choice. However, getting to the ranger's site was a challenge in itself for the vet, as she had no idea where the rangers and employees were. Furthermore, it was rush hour, so she would most likely get trapped in traffic, but she needed to get there as soon as possible to ensure the lion's life. One of the rangers offered to take her. That, however, would take far too long. However, people at the rangers' headquarters still knew exactly where the rangers were and how to get there. As a result, the veterinarian decided to visit the headquarters. After describing the problem, a manager agreed to assist her and they planned to cross the savannah in his all-terrain Jeep, which is never easy. The vet goes on a roller coaster ride. The travel takes approximately 3 hours in total. The vet had pondered many times whether the life of this lion was worth wasting an entire day plus extra on. Other creatures in distress may have needed her assistance as well. The rangers at the location were equally frustrated by the time they had to wait for the vet. Their dread became a reality. The lion's tranquilizer had worn off, and he had no intention of staying in his current location. It had waited long enough and was now attempting to move again. The rangers were at a loss for what to do next. Some rangers preferred to simply let it go because it meant they could finally return home. Why were they so concerned about a lion in the beginning? It was merely an animal that had ingested something that wasn't supposed to be there. The group couldn't agree on anything. Others had taken the vet's words to heart and realized that releasing the lion would probably result in its death. Fortunately for the lion and this vet, this group made up the vast majority. Because the lion was still moving slowly, the rangers were able to use their jeeps to block its way back into the savannah. They were unable to sedate the animal again since they had spent all of their sedatives. However, the veterinarian had a dose with her. They had to wait for her though. They couldn't completely encircle the lion, so they had to keep moving to obstruct the lion's path. The animal was clearly irritated by this, and the rangers needed to be cautious. The rangers become concerned. Is this the proper course for action? Even if it wasn't in excellent shape, a lion of this size could easily kill one of them if it got its hands on it. The rangers realized they had to rely on one another. It became a collaborative effort, with even those who wanted to let the lion go pitching in. When the veterinarian came, the lion was still laying in the same spot where the rangers held him. However, it became clearer that this would not be the case for long since the lion had become extremely hostile. The rangers did not even want to leave their jeeps, which they had parked there to keep the lion in place. But the lion immediately went after the rangers who remained in their jeeps. Many of the rangers had already had close encounters with the lion, but the concern for the lion had now reached an all-time high. Because they didn't want to get hurt, some rangers moved their jeeps far from the lion. The vet needed to move immediately because she realized she only had a chance if she could sedate the lion quickly. However, sedating the lion came with some risks. Given the lion's state, there was always the possibility that it wouldn't wake up. The doctor, however, was confident that it would survive the treatment after observing it actively attempting to attack the rangers. The only option was to use the tranquilizers to approach the lion. The veterinarian waited for the lion's head to turn in the opposite direction. She then approached the lion slowly before injecting the sedative into the animal's lower body. They had to wait until the lion was completely sedated before proceeding. It slowed down during the next several minutes, and the vet was able to inject the lion with a couple of more sedatives which were required for a lion of this size to fully sleep out. The lion was entirely out after a while. Exhaustion caused some rangers to drop to their knees, and their heart rates gradually returned to normal. They'd been close to death several times before, so they were relieved to be alive. Now the vet could focus on the lion's large bulge, which was the reason she arrived in the first place. She gets her surgery kit out of the enormous vehicle at the ranger's headquarters and prepares it for work. She made the decision to conduct an ultrasound first. She had suspicions about the weird goings-on. The cops were reportedly already on their way to the scene to aid with the procedure. First, George had to respond to a few questions, but why him? By feeling the lion's body, the vet can swiftly confirm her concerns that the object is stuck at the lion's stomach entrance. The object lodged in the lion's body was something it had swallowed that the digestive system couldn't break down. There was just one thing that the vet could do. At this point, there is nothing left to carefully cut open the lion and extract the object. However, surgery is never without risk, especially when performed in the middle of the savannah. However, there is no other choice. The vet cuts into the lion along with the bulge with extreme accuracy and care. And after passing through the skin, muscle, and esophagus, the source of the swelling is eventually disclosed to everyone. But that isn't what they had hoped for. The swelling was produced by a scrap of meat that the lion did not adequately digest. Something odd was found inside the flesh, which perplexed the vet at first, and this was the reason George had to answer the police. Inside the meat, there was a glimmering. There was a little microchip lodged in the flesh, and George informed the officers he had an idea what it was. He began by recounting his recent interaction with some shady characters in the region. George had lately caught some poachers and captured a device they were carrying. He dashed to his pickup and handed the device to the authorities. One cop immediately recognized the gadget since they had previously captured someone else with a device that was nearly identical. This system might be used to track the microchip, allowing poachers to easily locate the lion without attracting the attention of the rangers. This was a recently employed strategy. Because the meat they used couldn't be digested by the lion, it became lodged. The vet promptly starts sewing up the lion after removing the chip. While she's doing this, she checks to see if the lion has any other problems. But because he appeared to be in good health, she believed he'll be back in shape in no time. The lion takes a couple of minutes to wake up. At first, it appears bewildered and perplexed. However, after a while, it begins to move away much faster than before the surgery. After the lion had returned to the savannah, the vet had one more task to complete. She praised the rangers for their heroic efforts in protecting the lion and themselves. She returned to the city after that, where she had more patients waiting for her. The vet did one last thing to make sure the lion was fine. She made certain that George would keep her updated on the lion's activities and would keep an eye on the lion for her. The responsible poachers were apprehended by the police. They were able to detain the entire organization. The animals would once again be safe.